Hello sweet friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Tawanda and this is Tawanda's Blessed Life, and today I will be transforming 3 tables for you all today, 2 of which will be going in my living room and the other will be going outside on my deck area. 2 of the tables I already did a previous DIY on, but we're going to go ahead and redo those. So we're going to go ahead and jump into today's video. I hope you all enjoy. So this DIY, I'm going to call it a trash to treasure, because this little end table here, my neighbor put it out and I went ahead and picked it up to bring to my house to give it some life. So I'm going to start off by giving it a coat of the Restore finish. So I'm going to wipe it down first, and I'm also going to be using some steel wool to try and make sure that I get it into all those little cuts and scratches and all of the little imperfections that the table has on it. So I gave it the first coat of the Restore finish, and then I went back and I wiped it down. So you see me here doing that, and there was still some spots it covered fine and then some spots needed some extra work. So I ended up giving it 3 coats of the Restore finish total, and then on the 3rd coat I gave it the Restore finish, and then I added some of the Old English, and I just let it sit on the table for a little bit. I put it out on the table and just left it there, and I went and took a shower and did a couple things, and then I came back and then I went over it with my with a cloth, and it looks so good. And then one day when I have time to do it, because I know this is going to take a long time, but I do plan on sanding it down and then giving it a fresh coat of stain. But for now, I love the way that it looks, so you'll have to let me know what you think. And that is going to be it for this DIY. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next DIY for today. For this DIY, I have this table that I purchased off of Facebook Marketplace. I've had it for probably about 7 or 8 years, maybe longer. And I believe I paid either $35 or $40 for it. So what I'm going to start off by doing is taking some of that bare white paint and primer, and I'm going to go ahead and try and get into all of those grooves on the table, and then I'm going to wipe it back. And then, so let me go ahead and just apologize ahead of time. This table went through quite a few transformations during this video. I've had this table for many years, and every year it pretty much gets a makeover because we put it in our shed and then it gets kind of messed up. And so I am going to go ahead and I think it took like 3 or 4 turns of me going over this table to figure out really what I want to do with it. But nonetheless, we like it now. So let's go ahead and just go ahead through, look at all of the transformations as I create or reimagine this table. So here I am. What I'm doing right now is I'm adding some of the walnut gel stain, and then those little white areas I added some of the bare white paint because there were some scratches and I was gonna like show through the stain. So I went ahead and gave it a coat of gave those sections a coat of that white paint, and then I went over it with the gel stain. Now for some reason I usually am fine with working with gel stain, but this gel stain was just drying extremely fast, and so I actually did not like the way that it looked. I messed with it for like hours and I just gave up on it. So then I went back and I painted again with the bare white paint. So this is the second, we're moving on to the second DIY, and then I went over it with some of the dark walnut stain. Now I actually ended up liking this. It looks better on camera. What I'll say is it looks better on camera than what it did when I did it, because it actually had like a more of a reddish tone to it. If you hear that noise, that's my dishwasher. Like on camera it looks really good, but when you looked at it in person it had like a reddish tone to it. So I really wasn't wanting to do that. And so then I went back over it with some of the antique walnut stain, and I thought if I added some of that it would give it more of a darker look, but all it did was it kind of just wiped off the dark walnut stain, because the solid stain, the antique walnut stain was a translucent stain. And so when I was using it, and you'll see here me using it here shortly, and it's just kind of wiping back, it's wiping off basically the dark walnut stain. Then I decided that I was going to go ahead and do a different color stain. So I have this stain that I'm going to be using to stain our nightstands in our bedroom, and it's October brown, and it's a solid stain. So I decided I was going to go ahead and just give the table a coat of that. So I went ahead and did that, and it was okay. My husband really liked it. I wasn't sold on it, and so I didn't seal it or anything. And then this was a Friday. I did this on a Thursday, and then we ended up babysitting my nephew on a Friday of Easter weekend, and I didn't seal it. And so when he opened up his Easter basket, he had these little cars in it, and then he just kind of was pushing the cars all over the table, and it scratched it up, which was fine because I wasn't sold on that color anyway. And so you'll get to see that too. And then I went ahead and just gave it another then I went ahead and mixed up some of the alabaster paint, the same color that we have on our walls, and I mixed it with some of the dark walnut stain, just enough to kind of make it a little bit darker than what the paint color was. And then I went ahead and painted the whole table that color. Now, I actually really like the way that it turned out. The only thing I wish I would have done was I wish I would have stained the edges around the table where it has those engraved U's in it, or that the engraved I don't know what to call it, the U's that it has all around it, just to give it some texture, I guess. And then went over it with the paint, and then that way you could see the brown stain in between, in those areas, in those little creases or sections. But other than that, I really love the way that this table turned out. So you'll have to let me know what you think about all of my transformations. I have a really hard time with this table. It's been painted and stained many of colors since we've had it, and I can't really sand it down anymore because it's been sanded down so much. And it was sanded down prior to me getting it from the previous owner. But it's a solid wood table, and I really like the way that it looks. And so, yeah, so that is going to be it for this DIY. So you have to let me know what you think. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. If you're already subscribed, thank you for continuing to support my channel. I really do appreciate it. I would also like to thank all of my new subscribers for joining my YouTube family. My name is Tawanda. This is Tawanda's Blessed Life. And on my channel, I do decorating on a budget, DIYs, and hauls with a sprinkle of migraine enlightenment. And if that is something that you are interested in, please go ahead and consider joining my YouTube family. I would greatly appreciate it. And here I am adding that paint mixture. And like I said, I really like the way this turned out. I love the way that my living room is currently looking. And if you are interested in seeing how I styled this table, the video will be me decorating or refreshing my living room will be the next video out after this video. And so I hope you all get a chance to look at it to see how everything is styled and how everything has come together in my living room. Okay, sweet friends, we're moving on to our last and final DIY for today. So this was a previous DIY that I did last year sometime. So this table was a thrifted table. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but this is going to go outside on my deck. So what I wanted to do was I thought it was just a tiny bit too dark. So I wanted to lighten it up to see if I can get it to match the my furniture a little bit closer, the color a little bit closer to the color of my outdoor furniture. And so what I did was I mixed some of the cottage white paint, some of the territorial beige, and some of the country gray paint, tongue twister. I mixed it all together, and here I'm just giving the table a coat of that. And so I'm going to go ahead and I added some water to it. So I kind of made it more like a stain or a whitewash. And so I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole table pretty much. And then I'm going to take a napkin and then wipe it back. And then, so then I was looking at it and I just felt like it needed something else. It was missing something else. So then I went back to my craft room and I pulled out the burnt umber paint and then the night sky. And so then I ended up, I think I ended up using the night sky. And then the night sky, 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 and then the ni combining or mixing together the burnt umber, the night sky, and the territorial beige. And I felt like that gave my table a better, it gave it a closer look or closer match to my patio furniture. And so I went ahead and just started to add that mixture, and then I wiped it back, and I just kind of continued to do this process until I was happy with my results. And then once everything was completely dry, I think I waited 2 days, and then I went back and I gave it 2 coats of the polyacrylic matte finish to make sure that it stays protected and to seal it. And that is going to be it for this DIY. I love the way that this table turned out, and I love the way that I have it styled on my deck. It just makes the deck look that much better. So that is going to be it for today's video. I would like to thank you all for spending part of your day with me. And if you like what I'm doing, please like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And like I always say, be nicer, be kinder. God will love you for it. And I hope you have a blessed day. And I will see you all on Sunday. Goodbye.